Here are the top stories for today, August 19, 2021. Metro Manila mayors say it is up for the national government to decide on the fate of the enhanced community quarantine in the region, which ends tomorrow. Another 365,000 doses of Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines arrive in the country. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez says the Philippines is expected to get 5 million doses of the US-made jabs in September. Booster shots against COVID-19? The Health Department says not for now, as there is no solid evidence yet that it can give full protection and that many are still waiting to get their first dose. And yes to lesser lags as the Philippines shows improvement in internet speed, pushing its rank among countries with the fastest internet services. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The government is weighing on the economic and health factors in extending or downgrading the current Enhanced Community Quarantine Status or ECQ in Metro Manila. Will the NCR extend the ECQ status or will it be downgraded to lesser quarantine status? For MMDA and concurrent Metro Manila Council Chairperson Benhur Abalos, he said the council deems it is best to leave the decision to the wisdom and judgment of the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases. He said the local government units in NCR will continue to strictly implement the prevent, detect, isolate, treat, reintegrate measures to control the spread of COVID-19 and the multiple variants of its virus. Abalos earlier inspected several vaccination sites in Metro Manila and commended the LGUs for their orderly and systematic vaccination process. More local government units report a rise in the number of COVID-19 infections in their area. Meanwhile, some unscrupulous individuals are arrested in Pasig City for selling testing kits. More on this from Chris Crismundo.
More areas in Quezon City are now under granular lockdown due to COVID-19. Mayor Joy Belmonte earlier asked for residents' understanding, saying preemptive lockdowns are part of the city government's effort to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. At least 56 areas in the city are placed under granular lockdown, with one more area placed under the special concern lockdown area due to the increasing COVID-19 cases. Meanwhile, Manila's hospital bed occupancy for COVID-19 is now at 63%. City Health Officer Dr. Arnold Pangan reminded Manileños to always follow the imposed health and safety protocols, especially with the rising number of COVID-19 infections in the city. The district of Sampaloc reported the most active COVID-19 cases, followed by Tondo 1 and Tondo 2. Bataan also reports that many of their hospitals there are already in full capacity. The state-owned Bataan General Hospital and Medical Center, which is an exclusive hospital for COVID-19 patients, have already reached a 91.2% bed occupancy rate, while its extension facility for non-COVID-19 patients is already 100% occupied. Meanwhile, the Mariveles District Hospital and Mariveles Mental Wellness General Hospital both registered full capacity. Mariveles is considered the epicenter of COVID-19 in the province and the only town under enhanced community quarantine with heightened restrictions. Other government hospitals such as Baga Community Hospital is now at 57.1% capacity, while JC Payumo District Hospital in Dinalupihan is at 73.9%. In Pasig City, police arrested 4 men involved in the illegal sale of COVID-19 rapid test kits. The suspects are identified as Paul Henry Ferraz, 55 years old, and owner of Celtech Applied Sciences Incorporated. His 3 employees are also arrested. Recovered during the operation were 20 mother boxes containing antigen rapid test kits and saliva test kits worth 4.5 million pesos. The suspects will be charged with the violation of Republic Act 9711, which prohibits the online selling of COVID-19 test kits. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Crismundo.
PNP Chief General Guillermo Eleazar has ordered Cebu Police to investigate last month's beach party in Camotes Island. The party that reportedly happened on July 10 was said to be attended by some local politicians and other personalities. Eleazar said the report came from an anonymous complainant along with photos and videos of the said beach party. The video shows that the guests seemingly disregard the minimum public health safety standards and quarantine protocols. The National Task Force Against COVID-19 Chief Implementer and Vaccine Czar Carlito Galvez Jr. said the government is expecting the arrival of about 5 million doses of Pfizer vaccines next month. This as Galvez welcomed the arrival of the American-made jabs last night. The arrival of the 365,040 Pfizer vaccine doses is the fourth shipment of the American-made jabs procured by the government. Out of this number, Cebu and Davao are set to receive 51,480 doses each, while the remaining jabs will be deployed at the National Capital Region. Galvez thanked the United States for their significant donation of around 6.2 million doses of assorted vaccines, including the 3.2 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson single-shot COVID-19 jab, which allowed the government to vaccinate a significant number of elderly people and those with comorbidities. U.S. Embassy Chargé d'Affaires John Law, who was also present in the said event, said they were doing everything they can to bring as many vaccines to the Philippines as fast as they can. A total of 2,116,530 Pfizer doses purchased by the government have so far been delivered as part of the 40 million doses the country has secured from the American pharmaceutical firm. The national government has also received a total of 2,472,210 donated Pfizer doses coming from the COVAX facility. Health experts have not yet recommended the administration of a third dose or booster shots. However, Health Undersecretary Mirna Cabotaje says it might be considered next year.
Pinag-aaralan pa yan yung kung kailangan ng booster, although we are considering it in the 2022 budget. Ang ating wala pa kasing firm na recommendation ang ating mga all experts group, no? Alam naman natin na they are waiting for 1 year para magkaroon ng effective boosters. As of now, hindi pa rin i-recommend yung ating booster dose. No?
About 2.7 billion pesos cash aid has been given to Laguna as part of the national government's assistance to low-income families affected by the Enhanced Community Quarantine or ECQ. The provincial capital of Santa Cruz gets the highest amount among the non-cities with 98,780,000 pesos. Los Baños City will get 97,040,000 pesos. Calamba gets the lion's share with 412,031,000 pesos. Santa Rosa City is the next highest with 341,229,000 pesos, while Biñan gets a shade under 306 million pesos. Cabuyao, San Pedro, and San Pablo will also receive their respective cash aid allotment. Governor Ramil Hernandez said he gave the town mayors the discretion on how they will distribute the ayuda to their fellow residents. Meanwhile, jeepney and tricycle drivers in Bintar, Ilocos Norte have received their cash aid from the municipal government. The town council has appropriated 848,000 pesos to cover the relief assistance to the marginalized sector from the local government fund. The municipal government started the distribution of the cash aid to 62 jeepney drivers and 362 tricycle drivers on Tuesday, August 17. Still to come, the Justice Department assures Afghans seeking asylum in the Philippines will undergo a thorough vetting process. Details ahead. Keep it here on the PNA Newsroom.
Ito ang Fast 5. Mayroon tayong 5 minuto para tanungin ang mga eksperto tungkol sa COVID-19.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Ana Ong Lim and I'm with the DOH Technical Advisory Group.
Anong mga sintomas ng COVID-19 ang pwede i-treat sa bahay?
So napakagandang tanong. Ang mga mild symptoms, pinakakaraniwan pa rin siya sa mga nararamdaman ng mga taong nagpa-positive sa COVID-19. Kasama na dito yung lagnat, ubo, sipon, pananakit ng katawan, yung iba nagtatae. Pinaka-importante talaga is bantayan yung hirap sa paghinga kasi once sumumpong na yon, hindi na natin pwedeng sabihin mild and definitely kailangan na siguro na makita sa ospital o makita ng kanilang doktor.
Paano natin malalaman kung pwede tayo mag-home isolation?
Magandang mapag-usapan ng home isolation kasi lalo na ngayon, no, maraming mga taong nasa mga TTMFs or quarantine facilities or even sa hospital. And for as long as yung ating pamamahay ay may sariling lugar or isang silid na kung saan pwedeng mamalagi yung may sakit, and mas maganda rin sana na may sarili siyang magagamit na banyo.
Ano naman ang pwede kong gawin kung meron akong lagnat?
Ang lagnat ng COVID is not any different kumpara dun sa lagnat na nadala ng ibang sakit. Kino-consider natin na may lagnat ng isang tao pagka ang kanyang temperatura ay 37.5 pataas. Now, typically, kung meron tayong lagnat, iniinuman lang naman natin to ng paracetamol. Karaniwan, isang tableta tuwing ika-4 hanggang ika-6 na oras.
Ano naman ang home treatment para sa sore throat?
Ang sore throat, karaniwan, ginagamot lang natin yan using supportive care. So tulad na lang ng saline gargles or pagmumog, no, ng water na may konting asin, o kaya pwede ring gumamit ng mga menthol preparations or menthol candies para lang medyo maibsan yung pananakit ng lalamunan.
Filipinos remaining in Afghanistan received help from various sectors, even as they remain safe amid the security situation in the country brought by the takeover of the Taliban. Marita Mawahe has the story.
Filipinos in Afghanistan will be able to reach out to authorities and their families after the Philippines' two largest telecom companies provided free prepaid load and roaming services. Smart Communications said all Afghanistan-based Filipinos will receive a prepaid load on their smart roaming SIMs and free internet data subscriptions valid for 3 days. In a separate advisory, Globe Telecom said it began extending bill credits for its postpaid users and sending free load for its prepaid and TM users in Afghanistan on Tuesday. Last Sunday, August 15, Taliban forces took over the Afghan capital of Kabul, with President Ashraf Ghani fleeing the country. At least 80 Filipinos are still waiting for the government-chartered plane to land in Kabul from Dubai after the original flight was deferred on Tuesday night. Joseph Glenn Gumpal, president of the Filipino community group Samahang Pilipino sa Afghanistan, also reported that 4 Filipinos are still in the UN compound in Mazar and unable to travel. For its part, the Department of Foreign Affairs said the Philippine Embassy in Islamabad is working in the repatriation efforts, particularly in securing safe passage, access to the airport, and the availability of flights. Meanwhile, Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara assured sufficient safeguards to national security are in place amid the Philippines' decision to accept potential refugees from Afghanistan. He said if Afghan nationals apply for permanent status here, the DOJ will evaluate whether they meet the international standards for refugee status. He added that the National Bureau of Investigation and the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency may be called upon to determine if the applicant poses a threat to national security. The Philippine National Police meanwhile assured that the security situation in Mindanao is stable in wake of the political unrest in Afghanistan. On Tuesday, Malacanang said the Philippines' doors are open to Afghan refugees who fled their home country after the Taliban took control of its capital, Kabul. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Marita Muahe.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, rejected the call of several lawmakers to extend the voter registration beyond the September 30 deadline. COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez said extending the registration period will have a domino effect on the preparations for the May 9, 2022 elections. Jimenez emphasized that there are several activities that are already very critical to the success of the 2022 elections, which should not be delayed. He, however, said the poll body has allowed to extending the registration hours and they will have voter registration on Saturdays and holidays. Several senators filed a resolution seeking to extend the voter registration period, citing the suspension of activities due to enhanced community quarantine and modified ECQ. About 60 million voters have registered for next year's polls. Internet speeds in the Philippines showed improvement in July this year, pushing the country's ranks in the world's fastest internet services. Based on Ookla's Speed Test Global Index, the country recorded an average download speed of 71.17 megabits per second for fixed broadband, significantly higher than the 66.55 Mbps average speed recorded in June. For mobile internet, average download speed is now at 33.69 Mbps from 32.84 Mbps last month. The Philippines' global rank now sits at 63rd out of 180 countries for fixed broadband and 72nd out of 139 countries for mobile internet. Department of Information and Communications Technology Secretary Gringo Honasan said they will continue to coordinate with the National Telecommunications Commission and other agencies to further improve internet speeds. The Land Transportation and Franchising Regulatory Board qualified the Commission on Audit's findings on use of funds allocated for its service contracting program. The LTFRB said funds for the program were downloaded to the agency only in November last year and started disbursement in December. It said the reports in columns saying that only 1% was used from the 5.56 billion peso funds for the program when the percentage only covers December 2020. The Memorandum of Agreement between the LTFRB and the Land Bank of the Philippines was signed only in December 2020, which enabled the distribution of cash subsidies. As of June 30, about 1.5 billion pesos has been released to public utility drivers nationwide and for the procurement of a systems manager handling all project systems. The LTFRB said it is coordinating with the Department of Budget and Management for the release of 3.3 billion pesos on the remaining account payables. The Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA, defended the allocation of funds for projects under the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict. The Commission on Audit questioned TESDA's transfer of 160 million pesos to its regional offices. The COA cited lack of legal basis and the absence of appropriate guidelines for their use. TESDA Secretary Isidro La Peña said the allocation in question was used for various livelihood and scholarship programs. La Peña clarified that TESDA chairs that poverty reduction, livelihood and employment cluster, as well as the Regional Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict in Socsargen. Among their beneficiaries are surrenderers from communist terrorist groups, residents of geographically isolated and disadvantaged communities, and indigenous peoples. He said the funds were sourced out from the TESDA scholarship funds as reflected in its fiscal year 2020 budget. The TESDA chief said they are currently coordinating with COA to resolve the issue. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III said PhilHealth remains viable and can still bear massive spending, but only for a few more months. Dominguez said the state-owned health insurer has about 160 billion pesos in reserve funds. This even as it is struggling with a 25.5 billion peso deficit as of last June due to increased insurance payouts and decreased collections. He said the subsidy from the national government as of last June amounted to around 44.6 billion pesos. With this, PhilHealth is seen to stay afloat for a couple of months while in deficit. Dominguez further said PhilHealth will not disappear if the massive spending continues, but some of the coverage might change. He noted how circumstances changed back in 2020 due to COVID-19. Dominguez meanwhile said the Insurance Commission is studying the viability of PhilHealth. Up next, PHIVOLCS says the sulfur dioxide aerosol in Metro Manila is possibly from the TAAL volcano's activity. And Palawan might be the next location for a Dutch reality TV show. We tell you more later. We're back after a quick break. Stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Ano naman ang warning signs ng paglala ng mga sintomas?
Ang pinaka-importanting bantayan sa mga simptomas na lumalala na related to COVID-19 is really yung hirap sa paghinga. Pwede rin yun na rin na magdala nung confusion, pwede rin yung mga simptomas tulad ng sobrang panghihina kasi halos hindi na makakain, hindi makainom, no? So yung mga ganong klaseng signs, kailangan siyang masubaybayan ng healthcare professional.
Paano ko naman maiiwasang mahawaan ang mga kasama ko sa bahay?
Pinaka-importante dun sa iisipin natin pag tayo nag-isolate is dapat talaga nakabukod tayo sa ibang tao. So, dun lang tayo sa ating silid, dun na tayo kakain, hindi na tayo lalabas hanggang makatapos ng 10 araw. Now, kung tayo naman ay nasa isang lugar na shared bathroom pa rin ang ating ginagamit, sana yung surfaces ng banyo tulad nung yung doorknobs, yung faucet, yung pinaka-surface ng lababo, at saka yung pinag-upuan natin sa inidoro, pupunasan muna natin yan bago natin iwanan ng banyo para yung susunod na gagamit, hindi naman mahawaan ng ating mga secretions o yung mga tilamsik ng ating laway kung sakasakali naman ay tayo ang gumamit ng banyo.
Sino po ang pwedeng kausapin kung may karagdagang mga tanong pa ako?
Maraming resources sa ating mga communities at napakaraming health workers na handang tumulong. No? So unang-una na siguro doon yung ating mga BHERTs, no? Sila naman ay naabisuhan, o yung mga midwives or nurses sa ating community, even our local health center physicians, they're always ready to help us with our questions.
Maraming salamat, Doc Ana. May mga paalala pa po ba kayo?
Karamihan pa rin naman sa mga kababayan natin nagpa-positive for COVID ay nabibilang dun sa mild and asymptomatic category. So, mukha namang kaya, no? Most of the time, nababantayan itong ating mga kapamilya within the home. Ang importante lang, siguro, habang maaga, meron ng link to telemedicine o kaya nakausap natin yung ating mga barangay or community healthcare workers para kung sakasakalit medyo lumala yung lagay ng ating kapamilya ay nakaset up na kung anong susunod nating gagawin. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat and mag-ingat po tayo.
Bida Solusyon Plus laban sa COVID-19.
You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. The government continues to reap gains on its whole-of-nation approach to end local insurgency while providing job opportunities to former rebels. Presidential Communications Operations Office Secretary Martin Andanar said they are working to support President Rodrigo Duterte in resolving insurgency. He noted that the 403rd Infantry Brigade and the Department of Agriculture in Region 10 advocate adlay grain production and processing as potential livelihood projects for former rebels. He also said rebels in the region who went down from the mountains were provided job opportunities while others went to school or became farmers. Adlay production is now also replicated in the Caraga region by the Regional Task Force Ending Local Communist Armed Conflict. The grain has served as another alternative staple food and livelihood for farmers, indigenous peoples, and families in geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas. 101 families in MAASIN City, Southern Leyte have graduated from the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program as they conquered poverty after a decade of receiving grants from the government. The MAASIN City government and the Department of Social Welfare and Development held a ceremony on Tuesday to recognize the families who managed to improve their economic status. The local government will tie up with various government agencies to help provide support to these families in terms of health, education, skills training, and livelihood. MAASIN City Mayor Nacional Mercado congratulated these families for using the cash grants from DSWD to improve their lives in the past 10 years. In a statement, DSWD Eastern Visayas Regional Director Grace Subong urged other 4-piece recipients to draw inspiration from the graduates. Under the 4-piece program, household beneficiaries are entitled to receive cash subsidies provided they meet the conditions on health, nutrition, and education. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology has observed aerosol around Metro Manila believed to have come from TAAL volcano. PHIVOLCS Director Renato Solidum Jr. reported the possibilities of volcanic sulfur dioxide affecting Metro Manila. A high level of sulfur dioxide emission measuring to about 7,800 tons per day was measured in the TAAL volcano on Wednesday. Strong odors have also been reported in towns west of Volcano Island. Solidum said that the heavy rains experienced over the metropolis and southwest Luzon will help scrub off the aerosol to lessen its effects. According to PHIVOLCS, sulfur dioxide gas could irritate the skin, eyes, nose, and throat. TAAL volcano has been on alert level 2 or decreased unrest since July 23. A Dutch reality TV show is looking at northern Palawan as its potential filming site this year. The Philippine Embassy in the Netherlands said the Amsterdam-based Monday Media production wants to bring a production team on the island in September 2021. The producers have submitted a proposal for the shooting to the Interagency Task Force. They will be working with the Philippine Film Studios, the local production company's counterpart for this project. If approved, the Department of Tourism will help provide accommodations in their shooting locations. The DOT said the project will not only showcase the beautiful destinations and unique cultures of the Philippines, but also generate revenue and provide jobs. Since last year, the DOT said there have been requests from foreign production companies to film their shows and movies in the country. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Metro Manila mayors say it is up for the national government to decide on the fate of the enhanced community quarantine in the region, which ends tomorrow. Another 365,000 doses of Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines arrive in the country. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez says the Philippines is expected to get 5 million doses of the US-made jabs in September. Booster shots against COVID-19? The health department says not for now, as there is no solid evidence yet that it can give full protection and that many are still waiting to get their first dose. And yes to lesser lags as the Philippines shows improvement in internet speed, pushing its rank among countries with the fastest internet services. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day. Stay safe, everyone.